right, so good day. Welcome to class today. Definitely a needed class. I don't know about you, but I definitely need yoga in my life for sure. So we're going to get started in an easy seated pose or whatever pose that feels right for you. What I would like for you to do is to definitely root down through the sits bones, and those are those knobby little bones in your bum that you like to dig into your partner's lap when you sit on them. We're going to elongate through the spine. Shoulders are going to stack over the hips. Crown of the head's going to lift up towards the sky. So it's a really tall, proud posture. I'd like for you to take a big, deep inhale in through the nose. Fill the belly, expand the ribs. Hold it at the top. 2, 3, 4. Slow exhale out of the mouth like you're fogging up a mirror. Again, slow, deep, intentional inhale in through the nose. Hold it at the top. 2, 3, 4. Slow exhale out of the mouth. Again, slow, deep, intentional inhale in through the nose. Fill the belly up like a balloon. Expand the ribs. Hold it at the top. 2, 3, 4. Slow release out of the mouth. Now close the lips. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, keeping a restriction at the back of the throat. It's allergy season, so if you can't breathe through your nose right now, you just breathe in whatever way that feels right for you. But I want you to focus on the sensation of the breath, the cooling of the nostrils on the inhale, the warmth coming out of the lungs on the exhale. Noticing how the shoulders lightly lift up on the inhale and lightly lower down on the exhale. Noticing how the belly expands like a balloon on the inhale and how the belly button gently lowers back towards the spine on the exhale. So we're going to stay with our breath today. We're going to keep our movement and our breath connected. If at any time your mind starts to wander, just go back to the breath, the sensations, the feeling of it, to help yourself stay very present in this very moment. We're not worried about the future. We're not trying to correct the past. We're just going to be here today on our mats. Take another deep cleansing inhale in through the nose. Sigh it out of the mouth. So gently make your way into tabletop position. So coming onto the hands, coming onto the knees. Shoulders are stacking over the wrists, hips are stacking over the knees. Take a moment here to find your balance between the right side of the body and the left side of the body. As you inhale, lower the belly towards the mat, lift the crown of the head, lift the tailbone. As you exhale, round out through the spine, lift it up towards the sky, tuck in the tailbone, tuck in the chin. Inhale, belly low, lifting the crown of the head, lifting the tailbone. Exhale, round out through the spine and tuck in. Again, inhale, belly low. And exhale, round and tuck. Let's go back to that neutral tabletop position. Back is flat. You're elongating from the tip of the tailbone to the crown of the head. Really tucking in the core here, pulling that belly button up to the ribs and then into the belly button. Deep inhale in. Exhale, flip your toes under, send your hips up and back for down dog. Spreading those fingertips really, really wide, digging them back into the mat so the arch of the hand can lift. Lifting from the tailbone, slight gentle bend to the knees. Heels do not have to touch. Let's breathe here for just a moment. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose. Sigh the breath out through the mouth. Begin to move around in your down dog. I like to pedal in my down dog, so bending into one knee and stretching out through the other and switching back and forth. Sometimes I like to lift up onto my toes and let my heels fall from side to side, which gives me a little bit more of a side body stretch. You can even consider bringing twist into your down dog by letting the right hand reach for the left ankle and left hand reach for the right ankle. This is a preference thing. Listen to your body, give it what it needs right now. Being sure to keep your breath connected here. Meet me back into that neutral down dog position. Take in an inhale, take your gaze towards the front of the mat. On your exhale, step to the front of the mat for a forward fold. You can take one big step, you can tiptoe, you can fly, you can levitate, whatever is in your practice today. We're going to reach for opposite elbows here in this forward fold. So we're going to bring the hips over the heels, soft bend to the knees, or very generous bend to the knees. If you have tight hamstrings, you want to focus on bringing your belly to your thigh and not your knee towards your nose. Again, lift up from that tailbone, let the spine spill out, and begin to sway from side to side. Or if there's some other movement that you love in your first forward fold, here's your chance to play with it. Sometimes I like to reach behind my legs and lift up through the back of the legs to get more of a hamstring stretch, since my hamstrings are about 3 inches long. Stay with the breath here. Meet me back into that neutral forward fold. On your inhale, halfway lift. Fingertips can tent onto the mat or up onto the shin or even to the thigh. The goal is to have a flat, long spine. Again, elongating from the tip of the tailbone through the crown. Exhale, fold forward. On the inhale, slight bend to the knees. Let the hands rise to the sky. Extended mountain pose. Lifting with a long spine, lifting the crown towards the sky, letting those shoulders fall back and down, not pressing them onto the spine. We're elongating through the chest and through the back. We're activating the core by pulling that belly button up and pulling that belly button in. Soft bend to the knees, but activating the quads by lifting the kneecaps. All 4 corners of the feet root down into the ground. Deep inhale in, exhale, fold forwards. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, bring your hands down to the mat. Step your feet back for high plank and stay for just a moment. We really want to set this high plank up. So we're going to stack our shoulders over the wrist. External rotation to the biceps. Again, fingers spread wide and far. Heels are stacking over the toe-bound, core is always activated. Take in an inhale. As you exhale, shift forward. Begin to bend into the elbows. Keeping those elbows nice and tucked in for low plank. As you inhale, let the hips fall down towards the mat. Tops of the feet press into the mats. Lift the chest, lift the crown of the head. Activate the core to protect that lower back. Exhale, toes under, hips come up and back for down dog. So you're going to hear me say, find your flow today. And so what we just did was a very traditional flow: high plank, low plank, up dog, down dog. If you're struggling with shoulder pain today, you can completely get rid of that low plank. It's really fun to go from high plank to up dog, so you get to hang out in that juicy stretch, and then to down dog. Maybe your flow today is just down dog, or maybe your flow today is child's pose, lay down, take a nap, whatever. It's your practice. Do what's right for your body. Now we're going to start moving. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, forward fold at the front of the mat. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain pose. Exhale, baby back bend. Lift the chest, activate the core, lift the gaze. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, hands come to the mat and you find your flow. Whatever your flow is, keep your breath and your movement connected. You exhale as you fold and as you lower. You inhale as you rise and as you open. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, forward fold at the front of the mat. If you're wanting to hop to the front of the mat, maybe see if you can get those hips to stack over the shoulders for a second. Really activate the core and really challenge yourself to lower your feet as slow as possible. Inhale, halfway lifts. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain pose. Exhale, dive it down, forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, plant those hands, step those feet back, and find your flow. Again, high plank, low plank, up dog, down dog. Maybe your flow is high plank, up dog, down dog. And again, your flow can always be straight to down dog. In your practice, you have to meet your body where it is today. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, forward fold at the front of the mat. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain pose. Exhale, dive it down, forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, find your flow. On your inhale, take a look at the front of the mat. On your exhale, come to the front for a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lifts. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain pose. As you exhale, bend into your knees, sit your hips back for chair. Feet width is a preference. Some people really love toe mounts to connect it. Heels opened up a little bit. I'm more of a heel stacked under my hips, toes completely forward. We would like to make sure that our knees are comfortable here. They're pushing towards the pinky edges of the feet. We're internally wrapping the thighs, pushing the heels into the mat, and then isometrically pushing them away from each other. So you can really feel your sits bones open and you can really feel your glutes activated. Breathe into this chair. On your next exhale, see if you can sit those hips back a little bit lower. Let's take a challenge here. Take a deep inhale into the body and then exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lifts. Exhale, hands to the mat and find your flow. Again, staying connected with your breath and your movement as you flow today. Inhale the right leg into the sky. Exhale, step that right foot forward, lower that left knee down onto the ground for low lunge. So we're going to square the hips here. Right pushes back, left pushes forward. Knee is stacking, right knee is stacking over the right ankle. Knee is pushing towards the pinky edge of the foot. That back foot can either stay flipped under or you can keep the top of the foot pressing into the mat. Find out which one feels right for you, which one gives you more stability. Inhale, let those arms lift. Exhale, twist over towards the beige wall. Left hand is going to come to the front of the mat. Right hand is going to come to the back. Continue to focus on squaring the hips here, even though we're twisting into that spine. Flip that left palm. Inhale for peaceful. Left hand lifts up. Right hand can come into the back pocket or even reach for the back ankle if your spine is ready for that. As you exhale, bring that left hand down onto the mat, hinging forward. Right hand is going to lift up. Spine is staying twisted towards our right. Breathing here. On your inhale, let that left arm lift up towards the sky. Unravel the spine, facing back towards the front of the mat. So lifting and untwisting. And then bring that right hand forward, down, and then find your flow. Inhale the left leg, lifting it up, keeping the hips parallel. Exhale, bring that left foot down between the hands. Bring the right knee down onto the mat for your low lunge. Again, squaring the hips, finding your foundation. If you're feeling unstable here, tick-tock that left foot out to the left. The wider the base, the more stable you're going to be. As we inhale, let the arms lift up. As we exhale, we're going to turn our chest over to the left so the right hand comes to the front of the mat, left hand comes to the back. Breathe here. Check your hips out. Are we still squared? Flip that right palm. Inhale for peaceful. As you exhale, hinge forward. Bring that right hand down onto the mat. Let that left arm lift, keeping the chest twisted over to the left. Making sure we're twisting from a very elongated spine here. On our inhale, we are going to go for another peaceful. So right arm is going to lift up, left hand is going to find the back pocket or opposite hip or even the opposite ankle. Exhale, cartwheel the hands down and find your flow. And your flow can change throughout your practice. Sometimes you walk into class and you're like, I'm only here to do the bare minimum. That's all I got. But as you start to move, as the music kicks in, as you're breathing, your body's like, we're going to do a lot more today. And sometimes you come in gung-ho and then you start to move and you realize your body is not interested in all that humbuggery. Take in 2 deep breaths into the nose and then exhales out of the mouth. Keep breathing. Inhale the right leg into the sky. Exhale, step it forward for high lunge. And so the high lunge and low lunge are exactly the same as far as finding your foundation, except that back knee is going to be off the mat. You really want that back left heel to stack over the toe mounds. That back leg is incredibly activated here, but you're not locking out that back left knee joint. Inhale, arms lift. As you exhale, you're going to bring your hands behind your head, interlace the fingers, and then you're going to turn your chest over towards your right. Breathe here. This is going to be really challenging here. So keeping the hands interlaced behind you, take in an inhale, chest is going to stay twisted to the right. As you exhale, you're going to hinge forward slightly. So keep the chest twisted. This one is going to be really hard. Breathe here. Strong core, strong hips. As you inhale, unwind, lift back up. Let the hands lift back towards the sky. Exhale, hands come down to the mat and we find our flow. Again, breath and movement, stay connected. We inhale as we open and as we lift, and we exhale as we lower and as we fold. Inhale the left leg into the sky. Exhale, step it through, high lunge. And if you get your left and right mixed up, it's no big deal. Honestly, there's 2 sides, so you do one side, just do the other side the next time. It's not something we really need to worry about. I can assure you I didn't learn my left and my right until I really got into yoga. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, interlace those fingers, place them behind the head. Exhale, turn your chest over towards the left or over towards the leg that is bent. Breathe here. Still focusing on squaring of the hips. We're going to keep the bind behind our head. We're going to keep our chest twisted. Inhale in and then exhale, hinge forward with the twist. You're going to shake and that's perfectly okay. Pull those hips in towards each other. Breathe. Inhale, unwind, let those hands lift back up towards the sky. Chest is facing towards the front of the mat. Exhale, bring those hands down to the mat and find your flow. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, forward fold at the front of the mat. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain pose. Exhale, sit down into your chair. All right, so this is a power class. This isn't going to be a little hard, okay? So I'm going to give a couple suggestions. If it feels good, do it. If it doesn't, you just do whatever the hell feels right for you. Inhale, lift up onto the toes. As you exhale, hinge forward with the chest slightly. Hands are going to airplane back behind you. Stay really controlled into the knees here. Ankles are staying strong. We're going to see if we can lift up our right foot. Just take it off the ground a little bit. Exhale, lower it. Ooh. Inhale, lift that left foot up slightly. Exhale, lower. Inhale, rise up, extend the mountain pose, stay up on the toes. Exhale, fold forward, lower those heels down. Inhale, halfway lifts. Exhale, you bring those hands down to the mat and you find that flow. If you're home alone, make sure you're breathing loud enough for your neighbors to hear, because they're probably stressed out too and they don't even know about breath. So keep that breath loud, keep it deep, keep it audible, stay connected with it. Inhale the right leg into the sky. As you exhale, step the right hand in between, the right foot in between the hands for warrior two. So really find your foundation here. Right knee is stacking over right ankle. We're internally wrapping that front right thigh, but we're still pressing that knee towards the pinky edge of the foot. Some people really like the back foot to be completely parallel. I actually like my heel to turn out a little bit and my toes to turn forward a little bit. I find it supports that back hip. Instead of it just ripping the hips open, that back hip is supported. And whenever you turn it in that way, you'll notice it's much easier for the knee to come to the pinky edge of the foot. Flip that right palm. Inhale for peaceful. Exhale, we're going to come into side angle, bringing that right forearm to rest onto the right thigh or right elbow, connecting to the right knee. We're going to be moving here a little bit. If you have a block, you can bring a block in front of the ankle. If you have the forearm resting onto that front thigh, don't dump into the shoulders. Throughout yoga, you're always focusing on opening the heart and opening up the back here. We're always elongating and opening. We're going to inhale for peaceful. Let that right arm lift back up. Let that back hand find the opposite hip or the back of the thigh. Exhale, side angle again. Inhale for peaceful. Core strength is what's reversing this warrior. Exhale, side angle. One more time. Inhale for peaceful. Let that right hand lift up, left hand back of the thigh or opposite hip. Exhale, side angle. Maybe noticing you can go a little bit deeper, or you feel a little bit more stable into this side angle since you've come in and come out of it so many times. If a bind is in your practice, you're welcome to take the bind here. So what you're going to do is take that top left thumb, you're going to dial it back towards the courthouse or the back of your mat. Let that thumb dial down towards the sacrum if possible. You can take that right arm, snuggle it in under the thigh, letting the hands reach for each other. This is just a suggestion. It is not a requirement. If you're working on side angle, have a towel. Use a towel to grip. Put the towel in the top hand so that the bottom hand can grab it. If Bird of Paradise is in your practice, play with Bird of Paradise. If Bind Half Moon is in your practice, play with it. I'm not going to teach it because I don't want you to fall and die when I'm not around, or fall and, miss a laugh, because we're going to all fall together, honestly. So inhale, reverse that warrior, peaceful warrior, right hand lifts, stretch out that right side body. Exhale, cartwheel those hands down and find your flow. Inhale, let the left leg float up towards the sky. Exhale, warrior two, step it through. Again, same foundation, left knee over left ankle, internally wrapping that front thigh, pressing the knee towards the pinky edge of the foot. Back foot is either parallel or heel turns out, toes turn in a little bit. Preference, whatever feels right in your hips here. Flip that left palm, inhale for peaceful. Exhale, side angle. Again, forearm can rest onto that front thigh. You can let your elbow and your knee connect if you want to use your core strength to keep you lifted. You can bring a block in front of the ankle, or the inside of the ankle if that feels better for you. Let's use that core. Inhale for peaceful. Exhale, side angle. Inhale for peaceful. And then exhale, side angle. One more time. Inhale for peaceful. Exhale, find your side angle. Going only as deep as it feels good for you. Being sure that we're activating all the muscles around that left hip socket. So that way we're not dumping into that left hip. If a bind is in your practice, use your binds. You want to press the shoulder in towards the knee. Hands are pressing in towards the hip. So it's really pushing and opening you here forward. Spine is always elongated. If you're having to round out through the spine to get the bind is not for you. And that's okay. You can play with your bird of paradise here. You can play with your half moon if that's in your practice. Whatever feels right. Being sure to stay strong in that top shoulders. Oftentimes in side angle, the shoulder will kind of splay back, but you want to keep really active in that shoulder. Inhale for peaceful. Core strength lifts you up. Left hand rises, right hand finds back of the thigh or opposite hip, and then we cartwheel the hands, and then we flow. Inhale in, and then on your exhale, walk those hands to the back of the mat for forward fold. Inhale, halfway lifts. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up, extend to mountain pose. Exhale, sit back into that chair. Breathe here. Take in an inhale. As you exhale, let your hands come to heart center. Hinge forward slightly. Twist over towards your right. And there's a couple of options here. You can keep your hands at prayer and let that left elbow connect with that right knee to help twist the spine, making sure that the elbow and knee connection is not making the knee press in. I like a much more modified where I like to bring the left forearm across the thighs, both of them, and take the right hand over and around to reach onto the base of my sacrum. As we inhale in, and then exhale, fold forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise, extended mountain pose. Exhale, sit down into your chair. Breathe here. Take in an inhale. Exhale, hands to heart center. Twist your chest over towards the left. Again, always twisting from a very long spine. Same option here. Right elbow can meet the left knee, or you can bring the forearms across both thighs to give a little bit more support here. We're breathing. We're digging those heels into the mats. We're pushing those heels away from each other. Deep breath in. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain pose. You're gonna hate me, but exhale, sit back into that chair. Come on, you didn't take this class thinking that it was gonna be super easy, did you? Come on, grab a towel, wipe off, take a sip. We're about to do some fun stuff, the hard stuff. All right, lift up onto those toes on the inhale. Breathe. On your next inhale, you're going to lift the right toe off the mat. You're going to step that right toe forward a little bit. We're going to do a walking chair on our toes. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, step it forward. Inhale, right up. Exhale, step it forward. So you're going to walk all the way to the front of the mat. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, stepping until you come to the front of the mat. If being on your toes is too much, flat foot is all good, guys. No big deal. Once you come to that front of the mat, stay up on those heels. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, bring those hands onto the mat and find your flow. Again, your flow can change. High plank, low plank, up dog, down dog. high plank, up dog, down dog, straight to down dog. If you're feeling like a psycho and you want to make this super hard, high plank, low plank, up dog, back to low plank, back to up or high plank, up to down dog. Up to you. Again, breath and movement stays connected here. Inhale the right leg into the sky. Exhale, step it forward for warrior two. As we inhale, our hands are going to lift up towards the sky. We're going to turn that right toe towards the side of the mat. Feet are going to parallel. And then as you exhale, you're going to bend into the back knee towards the back of the mat, lower down into Skandasana or Rainbow Warrior. So it is lifting, turning that right toe. Exhale, bend into that left knee, lower down. And so lowered, you can see the difference between the two of us. I'm lowering all the way down, but I have to lift up onto my onto my toe because I'm not a flat-footed squatter, or you can stay up. Inhale, lifts. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, lift up to the center, turn that right toe to parallel the left. Exhale, bend into that left knee. Maybe you can go a little deeper this time. I like to turn my right toes up towards the sky, or the foot that's in the front that you're not bending into. I like to lift them up. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, warrior two to the front of the mat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, Skandasana, Rainbow Warrior to the back of the mat, bend into that left knee. So we're going to make this a challenge here today. So instead of going back and lifting up into that Warrior two, we are going to make our way into Skandasana towards the front of the mat. You can use your hands and walk forward, or you can challenge yourself by just slowly gliding. Nice. Take in an inhale. As you exhale, turn that right foot forward, bring your hands down onto the mat and find your flow. Inhale the left leg into the sky. Exhale, step it forward, warrior two. The side will be a little bit easier because we know where the hell we're going this time. So set up the foundation here. We are opening through the chest and the back, but we're also still pulling the shoulders in and down. But again, shoulder blades are not pressing onto that spine. That sends all kind of weird signs to the brain, and that's not the thing that we're trying to do right now. So inhale, let the hands lift. Turn that left toe forward to parallel that right foot. Exhale, bend into that right knee at the back of the mat for Skandasana. Only lowering as much as it feels good for you. If you want to lift up onto the toes, lift up onto the toes. Inhale, rise to center. Exhale, warrior two at the front of the mat. Inhale, rise and lift. Exhale, Skandasana at the back of the mat. Inhale, rise and lift. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, rise and lift. Exhale, Skandasana. Hang out here for a second. Maybe you can go a little bit lower. Just breathe into it. Enjoy this juicy left hip stretch, or right hip stretch actually this time. So let's challenge ourselves. We're going to make our way to Skandasana at the front of the mat. You can use your fingertips if you like, or you can keep your hands at prayer for more of a challenge. Deep breath in, and then on your exhale, turn the chest towards the front of the mat. Frame that front foot. Step that front foot back for high plank and find your flow. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, forward fold at the front of the mat. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain pose. Exhale, let those hands fall down by your side for Tadasana. So we're externally rotating the biceps. Pinkies are dialing in, thumbs are dialing out, shoulders are lowering down, chest is opening. Shoulders are spreading, but also activated. Heels are digging into the mat. We're going to switch our weight into the right side of the body, and we're going to encapsulate that right hip with all the muscles that are around it so we don't dump into it. As you inhale, let the arms lift towards the sky. Let the left knee lift up. So we're taking that left foot off of the mat. We're keeping that left foot flexed. We're standing here. We're breathing. Deep breath in. As you exhale, begin to hinge forward. Let that left leg come back towards the back of the mat for Warrior 3. Couple of arm variations here. You can keep your hands pointed towards the front of the mat. You can bring your hands to prayer, or you can let them airplane back beside you. If you need a little bit of a modification, you can bring the 2 blocks in front of you and put your hands onto the block. As we inhale, arms are going to lift back up. We're going to bend back into that left knee. We're not going to let that foot touch the ground. We're going to bring it in lifts. And then this time on your next exhale, let that left knee open up to the left. And then bring your hand onto the knee. You can let your right hand cactus out or all the way out to the side. Breathe here. Soft into that standing leg. Make sure we're staying strong in that right hip and not dumping into it. Take in, inhale. On your exhale, find the tree that is right for you. So that can be snuggling the left foot into the upper thigh. It can be onto the calf, or it can even kickstand down beside you. We just don't want the foot onto the knee because we're pressing the knee outward, and that's not what we want to do here. Breathe. Breathe. Inhale, let the arms lift. If this tree feels really stable for you, let your arms start to flow around like branches in the wind. See if that's a little bit more challenging. If you like, if you want to make this real fun, close your eyes and see how long you can stay here. When you don't have something that you can visually focus on, oftentimes we begin to fall straight out of the pose. Deep breath in, and then exhale, release down. Bring that left foot back down onto the ground. I like to usually wiggle the standing leg a little bit, kind of get that flowing and moving. Cecil likes to wipe down and take a sip of water, whatever. All right. So coming back to Shavasana at the front of the mat, again, externally rotate those biceps, pinky dials in, thumb style out. Hips are right over our heels. We're staying very activated in the quads here. So again, let's switch the weight into the left side of the body this time. All the muscles around that left hip socket are going to encapsulate that hip to make sure it stays nice and strong and we're not dumping into it. As you inhale, arms lift, right knee bends and lifts, right foot stays active and flexed. Spread your toes a little bit too. Breathe here. We're elongating from that bottom left heel all the way to the fingertips. Deep breath in. Exhale, hinge forward for Warrior 3. Chest is going to parallel the mat. That back right foot's going to stay really active. Arms can come towards the front of the mat. Arms can parallel the back of the mat for airplane, or you can bring them to heart center, whatever feels right for you. Breathe into this. Soft bend to that standing leg, really rooting down into all 4 corners of the foot. As we inhale, we're going to lift the arms, lift the chest back up. Don't let that right foot touch the mat. Bend the knee, bend into it. Lift it up. On your next exhale, let that right knee open up to the right. Right hand can come onto the knee. Left hand can either stay up towards the sky or you can bring it out to the left. Stay in this pose. Find your drishti or your focal point, something that's not moving for your eyes to visually focus on. Take in an inhale. On your exhale, find that tree. Again, the sole of the foot can come into the inside of the thigh, the upper thigh, or you can bring it onto the calf, or you can bring heel to touch the ankle for a kickstand. Hands are going to come to prayer. We're still lifting here from the heel to the crown of the head. Always soft bend to that standing leg, never locking the joints out in yoga, for the exception of acro and also in some of your inversions. On your inhale, let those arms lift. Let the wind blow into your branches. Move a little, sway a little. Find what's right for you. You can close your eyes and make it more of a challenge if you would like. Deep breath in. Exhale, release out of the pose. Shake out that standing left leg. Grab your water, wipe down, whatever feels right for you. So this is actually not a heated class, yet we are still dripping sweat. As long as you're keeping your body active here, you're going to sweat no matter if you're in a heated class or not. Inhale, extended mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands come to the mat and you find your flow. We're going to inhale the right leg into the sky. And we're going to exhale, step that right foot forward for warrior one this time. So right foot is going to come close to that right wrist. The back leg is going to be towards the back of the mat. Back foot is at a 45-degree angle. We're pressing into the knife edge of the foot. And then that front leg, the knee and the toe is always in the same direction. Anytime we're lifting or bending into that leg, we always want the knee and the toe in the same direction. Because when they're in opposite directions, you're either asking the inner knee or outer knee to bear weight that it's not physically made to do, and that's where your injury will come into play. Breathe. Inhale in, and then exhale, open up into warrior two. So that back foot is going to adjust itself to where it's more of either that parallel to the back of the mat or heel out, toe in. Flip that right palm, inhale for peaceful. Straighten through that right leg, and then as you exhale, begin to hinge into that right hip. Shift forward, let the right hand come to reach for the shin, or you can connect the back of the hand into the ankle if you're using your core to keep you lifted, or you can bring a block on the outside of the ankle here. Some people are able to do a bind here in this triangle, and it's the same as the bind that we did in warrior two or side angle. Not always accessible for a lot of people. But if it's accessible for you, play with it. As we inhale, we're going to lift the hands up towards the sky. We're going to turn that right toe forward, paralleling the feet. And then as we exhale, and I'm going to invite you guys to bring your fingertips into your hip flexors. So here's your hip bone. Here's the flexors here. I want you to pinch into it. And then I want you to hinge from there. Spine stays really, really long. You're leading with your pelvis here. And then hinging all the way forward for wide leg forward folds. So if inversions are already in your practice, pause this video and play with your inversions. If inversions are not in your practice, you're not going to start them in this video. Let's get that really clear. Take a workshop, okay? We're not going to learn it in this middle of this class. If you want to not do inversions, keep the video going. We're going to play around a little bit. So really lift up from the tailbone here. Notice how much more of a hamstring stretch you get. Spine is just falling out of the hips here. You can stay exactly as you are if you want to enjoy this hamstring stretch. I like to walk my fingertips backwards, pointing away from me and pushing them into the ground. And so it helps glide my head a little bit more towards the ground. I am always trying to find as much of a hamstring stretch I can get in any pose. So you can play with that here. Breathe and enjoy. We're going to inhale for a halfway lift. Fingertips are going to stay onto the ground this time, but we're going to lift the chest, elongate the spine. And then as we exhale, we're going to walk our fingertips and our nose over towards the right ankle. We're going to keep the hips parallel here. A lot of times people want to let that back hip drop down a little bit, but keep the hips parallel, keep the sacrum nice and parallel to the mat. Imagine that you have a bottle of water, without a cap obviously, and if you go over too much to the side, your water falls out, you have no water for yoga, you dehydrate, it's a whole situation. We don't want to do that. On your inhale, unwind, come back to that halfway lift. Walk the fingertips towards the center. Exhale, walk the fingertips over towards the left ankle. Try to bring that the knee towards that left nose. It doesn't have to touch, and for most people it won't touch, and that's perfectly fine, especially if you keep focusing on paralleling those hips and keeping them nice and parallel to the mat. Breathe into this. Inhale, halfway lift, walk those fingertips back to the center. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. As you exhale, you're going to turn your toes towards the front of the mat. You're going to walk your hands forward, frame that front foot, step that left foot forward for a pyramid. So your feet are going to be into their own lanes here. So right foot's on the right side of the mat, left foot's on the left side of the mat, and then we're going to inhale, lift up to standing. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to internally wrap that back thigh, and we're going to externally rotate that front thigh, and that really helps for the squaring of the hips. For me, I like to usually take a bind behind the back by interlacing my fingers. Some people are able to do prayer hands behind their back. My shoulders are not into that kind of humbug, but you find what's right for you. Or don't do any of them. Doesn't matter. So inhale, lift through the crown. Remember, we are internally rotating that back thigh, externally rotating that front thigh. As you exhale, begin to hinge forward. We're leading with the pelvis. Our spine is so long right now. Slow and controlled movement down into this pyramid. If you need a little support here, take your block, frame your front foot. You can put your hands onto the block to help you stay lifted. And you can play with that back knee a little bit if you want. You can bend into it a little bit more. Release the binds whenever you come down, whenever you feel comfortable. The more that you bend into that back knee, the more of a hamstring stretch you're going to get into that front hamstring. So play and enjoy. For my people that are already playing with inversions, I invite you to play with your L kicks here. You can pause the video. And for an L kick, what you're going to do is really plant the hands, externally rotate the biceps, lock the elbows out. I told you we don't lock joints out except for inversions and acro. And then you're going to let that back leg kick. You're going to lead with the hip. You're going to keep that front knee bent in and tucked into the belly. We're not going to play with it on this video. If you've done it before, do it. If you haven't, again, we're not starting that stuff in this video, okay? We'll do a workshop whenever the world's not falling apart. Okay. Take in and inhale on your exhale, step that back foot forward for forward fold. I like to move around after doing wide leg forward fold and pyramid. So if you want to kind of move around in the thighs here, you can always go for a gorilla. You can go for, I don't know what they actually call it, but where you take the peace fingers around the big toes. Play here. Listen to your body. Stay with that breath. So if you have a bind here, go ahead and release it. We're going to inhale for a halfway lift. We're going to exhale and fold forward. Inhale, rise up, extend a mountain pose. Exhale, dive it down, forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, find your flow. Inhale the left leg into the sky. Exhale, step it forward, warrior one. Left foot is stepping close to the left wrist. Back right foot is at that 45-degree angle. This is another pose where we're focusing on squaring the hip. So the front hip, or the hip that's connected to the front leg, whatever, pushes back. The hip that is connected to the leg in the back is going to push forward. Deep breath in, and then on your exhale, open up to warrior two. For me, I really have to adjust my feet here, so adjust and do what you need to do to get into that warrior two. We won't break it down again. We've gone over it a couple times, so you know what to do here. Flip that left palm, inhale for peaceful. Straighten through that left leg. As you exhale, hands are going to parallel the mat. You're going to shift forward like you're trying to reach the front of the room, and then you're going to bring that left hand to reach for that left shin. Or you can connect the back of the hand to the inside of the ankle to use core strength to keep you lifted, or bring a block behind the ankle. Whatever feels right for your practice. Some people are able to bring their hands all the way down to the mat, but oftentimes when they're doing that, they're not elongating through their spine. They tend to crumple down into that bottom side body, and that's not what we want to do. This is a spine lengthening pose here, as most of our yoga poses. Breathe. We are going to inhale, let those hands lift up towards the sky. Turn that left toe towards the side of the mat. Feet are going to parallel here. Exhale, forward fold. Let the hands come down onto the mat. So I'm going to play a little bit here. If inversions are in your practice, this is a great way to play. And if inversions are in your practice, you are going to bring your hands about shoulders width apart, and you're going to walk one foot to the other foot. So hands are going to plant here, bend into the knees, feet are going to come off to the side. Nope, so go into the center. Yeah, your feet are going to go off to the side. Off to the side there we go. All right. So hands on one side, knees are on the other side. So if inversions are in your practice, as you hop up, you want to get your hips to come over your shoulders and then slowly bring your feet to the other side. If inversions are not in your practice, don't worry about getting your hips over your shoulders. We're just hopping from side to side. So we're just bringing some dynamic movement into our yoga here. So let's do 5 of them. And maybe as you move, maybe you'll start to feel like you can actually stack the hips over the shoulders. See how Cecil's going super slow? I like that. If you can pause and get those hips over the shoulders, great. If you can't, don't worry about it. Actually, let's do 6, just for fun. Because it's the devil's number. And you're going to hate me for these. Take the inhale, lift up, and then exhale as you hop over to the other side. Nice. And if you noticed, his first ones were a little wonky. His hips didn't really get over the shoulders, and that was perfectly okay, and yours can stay like that. I know, right? I love that. It's one of my favorite things in my practice. But normally, as you hop around from side to side, you start to understand that the activation in the shoulders, and you're like, oh, I'm okay, all right, I'm getting there. All right, so let's go back into wide leg forward fold, facing the same way that we were. You don't have to flow into it. You don't have to get fancy with it. No, we're going to go the other way. Yeah, there you go. All right, so don't ever think you're going to come to my class and know what I'm actually talking about, because most times I don't know what I'm talking about, and we just play and do weird things. So have fun, be silly, fall, enjoy yourself. So inhale, halfway lifts. As you exhale, walk those hands towards the front of the mat, turn your toes towards the front of the mat. You're going to step that back right foot forward about a foot away from the front foot. Again, feet are in their own lanes. I want you to hinge up on the inhale, come to standing. So the reason I often have you guys come up to standing when we come into pyramid is because I really like to set up the foundation so that we can really focus on squaring the hips. So Cecil, if you don't mind, just bring your hands down, fold forward for a second, but don't get it nice and pretty. All right, so you notice how his hips aren't really square. That front hip is lifting up, that back heel is really low already. So watch when we do the adjustment. So inhale, come back up. All right. So we are internally wrapping that back thigh. We're externally wrapping the front thigh. Notice how it pushes the hip forward. Notice how his hip's squaring a little bit here. So you try to do that with yourself as well. So again, many arm variations. Some people are able to do prayer hands. Other people, me, I like to just take that bind, externally rotate the biceps, pushing them away from each other for more of a shoulder stretch as I hinge forward. Whatever feels good for you. Or don't do anything as you hinge forward. Hands onto the block, hands onto the mat, framing the front foot. Inhale in, elongate through the spine. Again, internal rotation of the back thigh, external rotation to the left, the front thigh. Hinge forward. You can stay with your hands behind you in prayer or bind it. If you're taking the bind, try to lift your hands up towards the sky a little bit more. Or release it all, bring your hands down to the mat, frame that front foot. So oftentimes we're told to bring the belly onto the thigh, which works very well whenever your thighs are together. But when they're opened up like this, you want to bring the belly more towards the center of the thighs, and that really helps for this squaring. If you notice his hips, look how much more squared he is here. Everything's on the same plane. I can literally put a faux bowl on his hips right now, and I can eat food. You know, it's all I think about, honestly. So release the binds if you have the binds. For my L kickers, go ahead and pause this. You already know what you're doing here. You are going to bend into that front knee. You're going to kick up with that back leg. That front knee is going to bend and the thigh is going to come into the belly. Shoulders stack over the hips. Don't forget to externally rotate the bicep. Lock the elbows out. Inversions, lock out. Do it. Bone stacking. That way your bones are doing a lot of the work and your muscles are not having to do most of the work here. So pause, play, do your thing. If you are not doing that, let's just keep going. Take in, inhale, exhale, step that back foot forward for forward fold. Grab a towel, wipe off. This one's rough. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up, extended mountain pose. Oh, this feels good. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Hands come to the mat. Find your flow. All right, we're about to play with some core here. So your core is so important. So your spine just stacks on top of each other. Without the core strength, your muscles built up around it, your spine is useless. So make sure you're always adding core. Actually, every yoga pose, your core should be activated. So all yoga is core, but we're gonna make it a little hard here. So inhale, lift up onto the toes. Exhale, begin to bend into the knees, bring the shoulders over the wrists. So you're coming into like a tabletop position, but your knees are not going to touch the ground. Your lower ribs should be magnetizing towards your hips here. On your inhale, right hand touches left shoulder. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, left hand touches right shoulder. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, right shoulder touches left. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left hand touches right shoulder. Exhale, lower. Inhale, right hand touches left shoulder. Bring it down. Inhale, left. Exhale, lower. Lower the knees for a second. Take a break. Breathe. We're not done. We're going to have some fun. All right. Flip those toes under. Take those knees off the mat again. So shoulders are over the wrist here, external rotation to the biceps, knees are hovering about an inch or two. Inhale the right leg, elongate it back behind you, hips height, foot stays flexed. Exhale, bring that right foot back down. Inhale, left leg out. Exhale, lower, keep the knees lifted, or you can bring your knees down for a modification. Inhale, right leg out. Exhale, right foot down. Inhale, left leg out. Exhale, left foot down. One more time, we got it. Inhale, right foot kicks out. Exhale, right foot comes down. Inhale, left leg kicks out. Exhale, left foot comes down. Both knees come down. Give me a woo. Yeah. All right. You know what? I've been burning you out today. Let's take a deep inhale in through the nose. Side out. Oh. Yes, shake it out. All right, so go ahead and bring your ankles off to the side, bring your hips down, come to seated on your mat. Honestly, just come to sitting down. You don't have to do it in a graceful way. So to me, core is super important, not because of a aesthetically pleasing situation, because again, the spine needs to be supported by your core muscle strength. It's so important, especially as we age. We should bring core into all of our yoga practice and definitely into our everyday lives. So legs are going to extend out towards the front of the mat. If you are lucky enough to have some junk in your trunk, go ahead and wiggle around, move it out the way so those sits bones can root. Hands are going to extend out towards your toes. Take in, inhale. As you exhale, you're going to unroll your spine one vertebrae at a time to come to lying onto your back. Slow and controlled. Dig those heels into the mat. Yes. Whew. Guess what? Inhale. Let's go ahead and lift back up, one vertebrae at a time, starting from the upper spine this time. I like to call this the cane. You remember the old wrestler Kane when he would, like the casket would open and he'd pop back up? This is what I like to do. Inhale in, exhale, unroll, one vertebrae at a time. Tuck that tailbone in, slow and controlled. Nice. All right. So let's bring those hands down by our side. We are going to bend our knees. We're going to bring our heels towards our bum. All four corners of the feet root down into the ground. Sorry, English is not my first language today. No biggie. All right. Let those shoulders slide down towards the hips here. As we inhale, we're going to lift our hips up into the sky. Internal wrapping of the thighs, knees are pressing towards the pinky edges of the feet. Hold here. If you're able to, you can create a bind under you to help pull the shoulders down even more. Chest and chin have a ton of space in between. Breathe here. Deep breath in. Exhale, lower down. So you have an option here. You can do assisted bridge, and that's just lifting up for bridge like we did and taking the block and placing it on the back of the sacrum and lowering the hips back down onto it for a little bit of support. You can do regular bridge just like we did, or you can do wheel. If you've never done wheel, don't start it in this video. For my wheelers, fingertips are going to point towards the shoulders, elbows are going to bend. We're going to have our knees stacked over our ankles. As we inhale, we're going to lift the hips, lift the chest up. Breathe. See if you can glide those shoulders a little bit closer over the wrists. If you can't, perfectly fine. Strong, active core. Knees are pressing towards the front of the mat. We're going to come down exactly as we come in. Tuck your chin in. Lower slowly. Nice. All right, since your knees are already bent, and we're not going to make you get back into down dog, we are going to take the right ankle, cross it over the left knee. Perfect. If this is enough of a stretch for you, you stay here. Foot stays flexed. That knee that is bent is gently pulling in towards the front of the mat. If you want more, you can take your hands, weave it through, reach for that left thigh. Pull that left thigh and right shin in towards the chest, but being careful here. So your hip only has so much rotation. Once it's no longer able to rotate, now you're asking your knee to rotate in a direction. It does not rotate at all. So just being careful here, being mindful. Shoulders stay nice and relaxed down. Head stays nice and relaxed. Breathe. Now release the bind of that thigh, of the left thigh. Let the left leg go long onto the mat. Hug the right knee into the belly. Deep breath in. On your exhale, let the right leg drape over to the left. So your right hip is going to stack over your left hip, or if you're going the opposite direction, top hip stacks over the bottom. Both shoulders stay onto the ground. Arms can tee out onto the sides, or you can take that left hand and place it on the right knee. If your right shoulder is lifting up, you can try to, I like to call it shoulder walking. It's a jiu-jitsu thing. If you're wiggling your shoulders around and that right shoulder doesn't come down, then you're twisting too deeply. Don't twist as deep. For support, you can always take a block and place it under the knee to give a little bit of support. If you don't have blocks, maybe you can use some of those old dictionaries that nobody uses anymore. You know, we got to make things work. We're at home, right? On your inhale, slowly unwind. Bend both knees. Bring the sole of both feet back onto the mat. We're going to cross the left ankle over right knee this time, or if you already done that side, just do the other. There's only two of them. Fortunately, we're not octopus like one time. Cecil told me that. So again, you can stay with the foot onto the mat if that's enough of a hip stretch for you, or you can weave the hands through, reaching for that right thigh, keeping your feet flexed. Knee is gently gliding towards the front of the mat, the left knee. Again, we're being careful. We're not trying to pull it in too much, because once we met the max range of our hip, we're not trying to make our knee turn into a direction that it shouldn't. Breathe. Now gently release the bind of the thigh if you have it. Let that leg go long. Hug that left leg into the center of the body. Deep breath in. Exhale, drape that left leg over to the right, or just in the opposite direction if we're on the other side. Top hip stacks over bottom hip. Both shoulders stay onto the mat. Again, you might need to little shoulder wiggle a little bit to get that left shoulder back down. Breathe. Maybe notice how different it is to breathe into a twisted torso. Our torso is twisted, so our lungs are not able to push down as much. One lung is collapsed, not actually collapsed, but it's got a lot more pressure onto it, so it can't fill up as much. So maybe just notice the different sensations of that. Take in, inhale, and then on your exhale, slowly unwind. We are going to bring the soles of our feet to touch. Knife edges of the feet are going to rest down onto the mat. Knees are going to open to the outer edges of the mat. You can bring the blocks under the thighs here for a little bit of support if that's too much hip opening for you. If it's not, let those legs open up. I'd like you to bring one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Feel the heart beating in the chest. Feel the hands rising and falling with the inhales and the exhales. Close your eyes. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose. Loud sigh out of the mouth. Just spend a moment here with yourself, breathing. Now we are going to take up our favorite pose for our Shavasana. So a lot of people, corpse pose is their jam. Arms open up, legs extend out. We take up all the space in the world. For some, this Supta Baddha Konasana is a really great Shavasana pose. Sometimes I like to take Shavasana on my belly, stacking my forearms with my forehead onto my forearms. You can even grab child's pose, fetal position, whatever feels right for you. We're going to close our eyes. We're going to soften our breath. And we're just going to let go and be for just a moment. Let's take a cleansing breath in through the nose. Cleansing breath out through the mouth. Gently wiggle your fingers. Gently wiggle your toes. Slowly reawaken the body with each breath. Begin to roll your wrists, roll your ankles. Now just begin to move the limbs in whatever way feels good for you to bring some movement into the shoulder sockets and the hip sockets. As you inhale, let the arms float away from you. Toes point away. Stretch out from the fingertip to the toe tip, a good morning stretch. And then as you exhale, bend your knees, bring your feet onto the mat, and then roll onto your favorite side, either the right or the left, whatever feels right for you. Coming into the fetal position, being sure to support your head with your bottom arm. Spend just a moment here, showing yourself some gratitude, showing your body some gratitude, your mind, your breath. You showed up for yourself, you put in the work, you did all that you needed to do, but most importantly, you spent some time with yourself and with your body. Reflect back on your practice. Where did you surprise yourself? Where did you find you were stronger than you thought? And then where was a pose that you felt wasn't right for your body and you just need to just ditch it from your practice? When you're ready, take that top arm, push it into the mat, help yourself into a seated position, facing the front of the mat, finding whatever seated pose that feels right for you. Elongate your posture, lift through the crown, let the shoulders melt down. Hands can rest into the lap or you can bring them to heart center, whatever is right for your practice. Close your eyes, soften your face. Cleansing, inhale in through the nose. Sigh it out of the mouth. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. Thank you for giving something to yourself today. There's so much going on in the world as always, and it's so important that we come to ourselves, we come to our breath, we come to our body, and we become present in this very moment. Oftentimes when we're living in the future, we're just living in anxiety. When we're living in the past, we're just living in depression. So use your breath, use your body, use your movement to come to a present state. So we're here, we're now, and playing and doing the things that we can do now. Bring the thumbs to forehead center. The light and the love inside of me sees and honors the light and the love in each and every one of you. Namaste. And for everybody that's on the video, thank you so much for showing up for yourself and being here with us. At Empower, we're very grateful for each and every one of you. We're hoping that we all can stay active here, stay present, stay mindful, and not allowing too much turmoil on the outside to come onto the inside of us. So thank you guys very much. Have a great day.